This video included in the downloadable content will just be a really quick update video because there are 3 minor changes to the landscape material I want to cover. Now, it is important to know that this material will only work for Unreal Engine versions 5.4 or newer. So in your project, you can see what version you have open by going to Help, About Unreal Editor, and you can see that this project I'm in right now is version 5.5, which means that this auto material will work for it. Now here I am in the project that is in our downloads. So in the same folder where this video is, this is the landscape project. And there was some confusion about how to get the landscape into your own project. So I will show how to do that as a refresher to migrate. So in Unreal, when you want to move assets between projects, that is the migration process. So you just want to select what you want to migrate. I recommend going to Examples, Materials, and then migrating all of these material instances, because it is these instances where we assigned the textures and all the properties and settings of that material. So I will hold down Shift and select all 3 of these to give me options, right click, go to Asset Action, and then Migrate. This will grab all the assets that are needed for those material instances, click OK, and then you want to navigate to the project folder you are moving these assets into. In my case, it is UE55 New Landscape, and then select the content folder there. So it will go ahead and copy those assets into this new project. And now we can see in the content drawer under Example, Materials, we have those 3 material instances. So this is the new change for UE 5.5. And this change is about assigning layers. Let's say I want to add this nanite material to my landscape. Then we will open this up and then drag this onto the landscape details for landscape material. And here it has been assigned. If I go to landscape, then paint, you will see that we don't have any of those layers. And before UE 5.5, those layers will automatically show up. Now to get the landscape paint layers, you have to click on this little assign materials button. So go ahead and press that. And now we get back all those materials. So that is the one big change for UE 5.5. So let's go ahead and let's assign the auto material to my entire landscape. To create a layer, I have to click on the plus button and then select Weight Blended Layer Normal. I'll just save it there. And now we have the auto material everywhere. Also, as of Unreal Engine 5.6, sometimes when you create and add a layer, this layer will not automatically be applied to your entire landscape, when in the past it would. That is okay. When you do create a layer, you just want to right click on it and select Fill Layer, which will add it to the entire landscape, just like before. At the time of recording the landscape video that you're hopefully watching right now, the main way we got materials in Unreal was through Bridge. Now, as of UE 5.5 and beyond, the way we get the same Megascans materials is no longer through Bridge, but instead a new program called Fab. So Fab is where we are going to get the majority of Unreal assets, including materials. Also, this landscape material is pretty versatile. You can get textures from anywhere, but in case you want the same Megascan textures, here's what you do. So when we come up to the Add button, instead of selecting Bridge, we will now select Fab. To get to the Quixel assets, type in Quixel up here, and then select Publishers, and select this. So here is Quixel's page, and to the left, select Materials, to now filter for materials. Now do keep in mind some materials are paid for, but we still have access to a lot of free materials by going to Price and selecting Free, to then filter for what materials are free. Downloading a material into your project is pretty straightforward. You just want to select it, and we have the same quality options. Now do keep in mind, if you want a displacement map for your height blending and nanite displacement, that is only included when you select the high quality. So in order to get displacement maps, make sure you select high quality and not any of the other ones as of Unreal Engine 5.6. And then select Add to Project. So here we will get our textures. Open this up, go to Textures, and these are the textures provided to us. And because I selected high quality, we also get the height map, which is now separate from the mask. So the textures provided from Fab are exactly the same as the textures provided in Bridge in the video that you're watching. The only difference between the Bridge textures and the Fab textures is that the height map is now separate from the mask. If we select the mask, the R channel is the same as Bridge, which is ambient occlusion, The green channel is the same as bridge, which is the roughness map. And now the blue channel is no longer height. Instead, the blue channel is now the metallic mask. And for the majority of the assets you use on a landscape, they will not be metallic. So for the most part, this texture is just black. To get the height, it is no longer in the blue channel of the mask. Instead, it is its own texture included. So how does this affect the auto landscape material? Well, there's one extra option now that you want to enable if you are using material textures from Fab. For example, let's create a material layer with these textures. Since this texture is a mask, I will enable mask right there. And by default, it is assuming that we will use the mask originally from Bridge. But since this mask is from Fab, there is a brand new option that I'll turn on right here. That is mask from Fab. If I turn this on, now the auto material has adjusted and is expecting a separate height mask from Fab and the mask texture from Fab. So this is all I have to do. Now I can just drag in those textures. And we have the new material ready to be used from Fab. And finally, there is one more additional option I added to the material, and that is the option to use ambient occlusion. Because already included within this mask, in the red channel, we can see we have an ambient occlusion mask, which essentially adds micro shadows that can be overlaid onto the texture to just add a little bit more depth and to make the texture material pop more. There is a new option that's called use ambient occlusion. If I turn this on, then it will use that texture and we will see not within the areas of the layer that is filled with light, but within the shadow areas, we get a little bit more shadows in the crevices of this texture. And we can see the difference by turning it off and on. There are additional options now to control the AO, specifically AO intensity and AO power. So the power is the contrast. If I increase this, then we can exaggerate what the ambient occlusion looks like. And now it is very noticeable in the shadow areas of my material. And ambient occlusion intensity controls the overall intensity. One is at 100%. And if I lower this, we can keep on decreasing that until 0 is the ambient occlusion has no effect. So this is 0 and this is 1. We can see that it does add just a little bit more extra detail, which can help the materials look better. And with that, you have all the information for the updated auto landscape material. You could go ahead and watch the original video on YouTube because everything else is the same to continue to learn how to use this.